The station lights dimmed to a soft blue as the diplomatic hall settled after the long meeting. Delegates from many worlds filled the room with faint chatter and the rustle of formal robes. In the center stood the tall human named Ray, still wearing the compact white armor of the Terran Explorer Corps. He kept both hands behind his back. Quiet as always, his presence steady like a pillar. For several days, the Council had been gathering to negotiate shared access to a newly discovered star corridor. Many species had come to speak for their worlds, yet the human had been chosen to deliver the final calibration codes needed to activate the corridor safely. Everyone believed the negotiations would end peacefully. No one expected tension to rise because of one simple exchange. Across from Ray, the representative from the Lumia cluster adjusted her shimmering cloak and stepped closer. Her name was Lena. She had been friendly at the start, but grew impatient as the talk stretched on. Her voice held a bright tone that carried across the hall, and she rarely missed a chance to express her opinion. At first, her direct nature seemed refreshing, but by the fourth day, her impatience had begun to show in ways she did not see. Doc Ray had explained the calibration sequence several times already. But Lena sighed loudly, tapping a metallic finger on the table. She looked at him with a faint smirk. "Why do we need a human to verify this again? You are slow with your methods." The room went silent. Delegates glanced at one another. Some lowered their gazes. They knew the weight of her words. It was not a sharp insult, but it was dismissive, and it disregarded the thousands of hours humans had spent mapping the star corridor. They all knew the corridor had been discovered by a Terran pilot who risked everything in an untested field of space. The work behind it was not small, and Ray had been part of that effort. Ray did not react at first. He did not flinch. His posture did not change. The white armor reflected a faint glow from the ceiling as he lifted his gaze toward her. For a moment, his eyes carried a quiet that unsettled even those who knew him well. "Human methods are slow to you," Ray said calmly, "but they are meant to protect everyone." Lena lifted her chin. "Protection is fine, but your process delays progress for the entire council." A soft murmur filled the hall again. The council leader raised his hand, trying to settle the room, but Ray had already stepped back. He did not raise his voice. He did not argue. Instead, he looked down at his armor. The white plates had been polished before the meeting. The small scratches carried stories from other journeys. He slid a hand across the surface, as if making a final decision. Then, in front of everyone, he reached toward the release seals on his chest plate. A soft hiss filled the room as the armor began to detach. Ray lifted the plate with care and placed it on the table. The hall grew even quieter. Humans rarely removed their armor in public, and never during a council meeting. It was more than protection. It was a symbol of duty. Ray continued removing each section in silence. The delegates watched with confusion as the chest piece, arm guards, and polished boots came off. Under the armor, he wore a simple dark suit, practical and plain. When the last piece rested on the table, Ray straightened and spoke with a steady voice. "I did not come here to argue," he said. "I came to offer what my team built. If my presence causes delay, I will step aside." Lena blinked, taken aback. "Wait, I did not mean for you to take offense." Ray shook his head gently. "You did not offend me, but your words show that my work is not welcome. So I will not stand in your way." He did not raise a hand to emphasize his point. He did not move with anger. He simply gave a slow, respectful nod to the council leader, then turned and walked toward the exit. The hall echoed softly with each step of his boots on the floor. His posture remained calm, but his silence carried weight heavier than any words. The council leader called out, "Ray, please wait." But Ray continued walking. He did not turn back. He passed through the tall doors without a sound and left the hall behind him. The delegates shifted uncomfortably. No one knew what to say. The corridor activation could not continue without the human calibration codes. The corridor map itself had been created through a mix of human intuition and analytical work that other species still struggled to understand. Without Ray, everything paused. Lena stared at the empty doorway. She folded her hands together, a rare sign of worry for someone usually confident. He walked away, she whispered. The council leader faced her with calm but firm eyes. Humans do not shout when they are hurt. They withdraw. That silence is not anger. It is disappointment. Lena lowered her gaze. I spoke without thinking. Another delegate, a tall figure from the Oran Belt, added, humans value respect above many things. They carry burdens quietly. They speak carefully because they feel deeply. Lena nodded slowly. I should speak with him. I need to make this right. Ray walked down the curved hall, leading toward the outer docks. The windows stretched tall on both sides, showing ships drifting under the soft light of the station. The hum of stabilizers filled the space with a gentle vibration. Ray's steps remained steady, but he felt a faint pull in his chest. He did not like leaving the hall like that. He simply could not continue with the dismissal echoing in his mind. Humans were often seen as unpredictable by other worlds, but the truth was simpler. They held deep pride in the work they committed to. They could endure silence, cold, pressure, long missions, and endless uncertainty. But dismissal of their effort struck harder than anyone realized. As Ray walked, he reflected on the years spent charting the corridor. There had been long nights on the survey vessel, checking instruments by hand to avoid errors. There had been moments when the team nearly abandoned the project, yet pushed on for the sake of discovery. Ray remembered the excitement the day the safe path was confirmed. He remembered sending the first signal back home. Filled with hope, to have all that brushed aside in front of every delegate felt heavier than the armor he had removed. He reached the docking bay where several ships waited. His small transport vessel was at the far end. It was not sleek or impressive, but it had carried him through storms of charged particles and drifting debris fields. He stepped toward it without looking back. Behind him, soft footsteps echoed. Lena approached, her cloak trailing lightly behind her. She stopped a few steps away, unsure how to begin. Ray, she called gently. Please wait. Ray paused, but did not face her. She took a careful step closer. I spoke wrongly. My intention was not to dismiss your efforts. I allowed impatience to guide my words. Ray remained still for a moment. His voice, when he finally spoke, was calm. I do not require an apology, but I do not wish to stand where my work is doubted. Lena folded her hands again. Your work is not doubted. I was wrong to say what I said. Without your guidance, the corridor cannot be used with full safety. Many worlds will be at risk if we continue without you. Ray slowly turned toward her. His eyes held no anger, only quiet thought. If you understand that, why say what you did? She lowered her head. Because I forgot the weight of your contribution. The docking bay hummed softly. Ray walked to a nearby bench and sat, looking out one of the wide windows. Lena followed slowly and remained standing. She did not want to intrude more than she already had. The starfield outside glittered like scattered silver dust. A distant blue nebula glowed near the horizon of space. Ray spoke after a long pause. Humans do not need praise, but we need our work to be respected. Every species here has strengths. Humans bring patience, one steady step at a time. It may appear slow, but that slow pace prevents mistakes that a fast pace might cause. Lena nodded. I understand now. I was careless. Ray looked down at his hands. Without the armor they appeared lighter, almost fragile under the dock lights. But strength did not always show in muscle or metal. Sometimes it showed in the ability to walk away without raising a voice. "Ray," Lena said gently, "would you return to the council? Not for me, but for the corridor project. Everyone depends on it." Ray took a breath. He thought about the teams waiting back home. He thought about the purpose behind the mission. It was not about pride. It was about safety and exploration. If he walked away, the corridor activation might be rushed by someone less familiar with the calibration. That risk was too great, Dot. He stood slowly. "I will return, but only if the council agrees to follow the full process. No shortcuts." Lena bowed her head. "They will, and I will make sure of it." Ray nodded once. He walked back toward the hall with Lena beside him. As they reached the entrance, the doors slid open, revealing the many delegates waiting inside. Conversations stopped immediately. All eyes turned to him. The council leader stepped forward. "Ray, thank you for returning. We respect your work and your methods. The corridor activation will proceed as you recommend." Ray gave a simple nod. "Then let us continue." He placed the armor pieces gently on a side table, rather than putting them back on. He did not need armor to speak. His presence alone carried weight. The council resumed the discussion with a new calm. Questions were asked with patience. Ray clarified each step without rush. This time, everyone listened. Even Lena asked thoughtful questions, showing clear effort to understand the reasoning behind every sequence. Ray answered with care. The atmosphere shifted into quiet cooperation. By the end of the session, the council had reached a plan that